Hey, welcome to Das Cayman Garage, and in this video, I'm gonna show you how to take a garage from this to this for less than $5,000. So let's get started. In this entire video, I'm gonna go through step-by-step instructions. We're gonna start with the electrical, the drywall, the mudding, the sanding, the painting. Then we're gonna move on to the lighting, and then we're gonna do the switching, as well as storage, organization, and lastly, we'll finish up with the floors. We're gonna do step-by-step, line by line, to optimize your garage to make it a clean space for you. Okay, the first thing we have to do is actually prep the garage itself. So I want everything pulled out of the garage. You're gonna put it into piles. What you think is gonna stay in the garage, what's gonna go into your basement, also what you maybe wanna donate or throw away.
I just had to take a minute here and show you the before of this garage. It was totally neglected, such a mess. It was a storage unit. You got drywall tape hanging off the ceiling. There's gaps in the ceiling here where it meets, the studs. Tape's ripping off the ceiling here. Stop saving your wood, please. You're never gonna use it again. They got old outlets in here with phone jacks. Just a bunch of junk in the corners. The sinks that aren't being used, old cabinets. This garage door was hanging on by a literal piece of metal strap. It was not to code, a total POS. Once again, just open studs, random Romex wire. Even the Romex wire was being strung over metal brackets. I mean, this is not even to code here. Just a random Romex. There's now a hole in the side of the house. Again, your old wood, this random junk, things that can fall in your car. Old cabinets. We got wires going across the ceiling here. I mean, it was just an absolute mess, and that's how we want.
Again, now is a good time to donate, sell, or take these things to the dump.
All right, we are now putting some construction lights in and pulling everything out of this garage, everything from the cabinets, wood on the wall, the carpets, blow it all out, every tool chest, everything in here. You really want a blank surface to start working on your garage in. Bring it all to your driveway and sort it out. Next thing we're gonna do is remove anything that's on the walls and the studs, any coat hangers, hooks, whatever, anything that's on your walls that will not allow the drywall to lay flat. Please remove it at this point now. And don't worry about making too much of a mess while doing this. You just wanna get everything off the walls. Next up, removing old cabinets. Take everything out of the cabinets and then start to remove it. I highly recommend you unscrew the cabinets rather than banging them down with a sledgehammer. It'll go a lot easier on the drywall and it'll be a lot less cleanup. A lot of these cabinets are held together side to side by screws that go through the frame of the cabinet. So all you have to do is unscrew these screws, bottom, middle, top, and then it should detach each cabinet from the next and you can pull it off the wall. So here I am working on each cabinet, just taking all the screws from the studs in the wall, and then the screws attach the cabinet from left to right. And then once the screws are out, we can remove it off the wall and it's no big deal. Here's a time lapse of me removing old phone cable jacks out of the wall. These are like RJ45s.
No, it looks like shit actually.
It literally looks like garbage.
Looks as good as the hole in the wall.
Look at this, there's literally, Janie, how'd you get in my house? Janie, there's a hole in the side of your house.
I just thought.
How did you get in here? I deadbolted the door.
There's a hole in the side of your house.
Under contract, that ain't the truth. Next, we're gonna work on electrical. Put outlets where you think you're gonna need them. It's very easy to daisy chain outlets together one by one using an existing electrical source. Make sure you turn off the power at your breaker before doing any electrical work at all. And if you have any concerns, please hire an electrician. But between you and me, look at a few YouTube videos out there on how to do electrical work in the United States. It's very easy. Again, turn your breaker off, buy a couple tools such as a multimeter or an electrical voltage tester so you're not dealing with live or dead wires. Now is also a great time to run heaters through your garage, which is shown on the screen right now. You're gonna wanna run separate breakers for those, maybe 20 amp breakers. A lot of electric heaters take a lot of wattage. So whenever I do heaters in a garage that are electric, I do separate 20 amp breakers for those. And guys, outlets are really cheap. They're about $1 each, so now is the time to put them in before you go drywall everything up, mud, sand, and paint. You can always, I'd rather you have too many outlets than too little at the very end. Keep in mind where your tool chests are gonna go, and we're gonna need to access power as you use the garage. But at this point, you probably lived in your house for a pretty long time and you got an understanding of like, hey, like I would have loved to have an outlet here to charge my weed whacker or my car or like whatever. So go mark on the wall where you want it and then go write your plan on how to execute that. So this garage here, we put outlets very low to the ground on the front and the back on both the left and right side of the garage. This is so that you can plug in your cars for a battery maintenance and not have a cord hanging like from here down up over a fender plugging into your battery. Also thinking about your workstations. So right here we have a cabinet as well as a workbench. I want to make sure we have an outlet here to plug in any utilities or accessories, as well as I put an outlet down here so we can plug in the workbench itself without having any cords showing. And now I did mention that, so this Husky cabinet has an outlet on the right side of the cabinet itself, and the power cord, I did put an outlet over here so that you wouldn't have any cords on the back of the cabinet, because if the cord is in the back of the cabinet, you're not gonna be able to set this cabinet flush with the wall, and it'll actually bump out because of the outlet itself pushing the cabinet from the wall. I put this Husky reel right here so that if you're ever in the front yard, you can go draw this out and draw it back in. This is a 25-foot cord length. It comes very handy in case you gotta put any lights, hedge trimmers, etc., working in your driveway or in your garage itself. All right, for the next part of this garage reno, we're gonna put in some new outlets. Right now we have an exposed studded wall right here, which gives us some availability and options to just put these boxes where we want them and also run our Romex to these new outlets. One thing that I do want to show you, keep in mind, is that if you're going to park your car head in here and you want to put your car on like a trickle charger, it's nice to have the outlet low to the ground so that you don't have a black cord hanging from your wall, draping down, going up. All you do is have an outlet right here, run the cord up and over your fender to the battery. Conversely, if you back in your car, you can go and put an outlet at the front of the garage, again, low to the ground, run the outlet and the cord up over the fender into the battery. So right now, we're gonna speed up how to install these outlet boxes. We're gonna tap into existing power right here. So we'll pop this plate off, we'll pull this outlet out, we'll go cut into the drywall, we'll run some Romex through these studs, and I'll show you how to do that right now. Make sure you check your local area codes for how high you can put an outlet off the base floor. For us, we're okay with that. And I'm gonna drop these outlets from this concrete floor right here around 9. Actually, we'll do 6 inches off the ground for each outlet. We'll take a hammer right now and we will nail this in place. Since we have exposed studs here, we're gonna use a new work outlet box. It's gonna have a nail in for the studs. And here, on the bottom here, you're gonna have these holes that are gonna pop open to run your Romex. So right now I'm gonna take my also these ridges right here is we're gonna put up against the stud itself to set your depth. Okay, just like that. We'll take our hammer, one down.
And this is a time lapse of me just putting all those other outlets in place and hammering them in to move to the next step.
All right, since our outlet is down here, we're gonna pop off current power. Here's a little switch plate. We'll pop him off, just a couple of screws. At this point, we're actually gonna go and pull the receptacle out of the wall. The power is off. If your power is not off, you would shock yourself if you touch the black wire by going to this outlet. So make sure your outlet is off before you remove the outlet itself out of the wall, just like that. Our goal now is to make a cutout, maybe right here. Our goal now is to find out where the stud is. It's probably gonna be on the left or right side of this outlet. We'll use a stud finder for that. Then we're gonna go drop an outlet down, a hole at the height of our new boxes. Make a cutout. We're gonna draw the Romex from this outlet to here. Then we're gonna make probably an opening right here so we can access this corner studding, cut holes, and run the wire. So right now I'm gonna use my stud finder to find out where the stud is, whether on the right side of the outlet or the left side. So I'll put it on the wall, away from the outlet. I'll drag it across, and there's my stud. So it's gonna be on the right side. So because of that, what I'm gonna do is cut a hole to the left of this stud, probably like right here. I'll find that distance by measuring to the top of my new outlets, which is a foot off the ground. So right here, foot off the ground, and then I'll cut it down to like 8 inches right there. A nice thing you can do is just use a square template, like this outlet cover right here, and just trace this out. That way if you ever have to cut a new piece, it's easy to do, to fill this back in place. So because we're at the front of the garage, you're gonna have a base plate here. Since the steps from the garage to the kitchen go up, we gotta find out where that base plate is and where that starts. Seems to be right here. All right, so I think we're gonna be safe going right here.
This is me just cutting holes in the drywall now, where we marked earlier, so we can run the Romex from the outlet down to this hole, and then over to the right, where the studs are gonna be. That way we can pull the Romex through here and run it to our new outlets we can see in the lower right of the screen. So I'm pulling all the drywall out, and we're gonna cut the holes.
All right, guys. So what we did was cut the drywall open right here. So cable's gonna come out here. We're gonna cut through a hole through this stud, and through this stud, and we're gonna feed the Romex through this and pop right out. So I'll time lapse that right now.
All I'm using is a 1-inch spade bit to cut these holes.
All right, for the next part of this video, you're gonna see me measure 20 inches off the bottom stud right here, up to where we made that initial hole in the front wall. I'm gonna make a hole here, here, here. Drop the Romex down here, holes all the way down here. Drop the Romex, holes down here, drop the Romex, and then we're done. So right now you're gonna see me mark all the heights, draw all the holes, and run the Romex. Just in case it wasn't obvious, all the holes are being made in the middle of the stud. You don't want to make it too close to here in case you hang a screw one day or whatever. So all these holes are in the middle of the stud, and now we're going to run the Romex through it. All right, for the next step, we're gonna take our 14-2 Romex, which is one hot, one neutral, one ground. We're actually gonna swap this outlet out for a double outlet. Then we're gonna run our Romex from here down on the side of the stud through the holes, and then to our first outlet. So I'll show you that right now. All right, this is your standard American outlet. So the silver will take the neutral, which is a white wire, and the gold, which is the hot, will take the black wire. And the green will take the ground, which is just the bare copper. So I'll show you how to install that right now on camera. And if you have any questions, there are probably 100 electrical videos out there on how to do this. If you don't feel comfortable doing this, working with electricity, always consult a professional. Let's get this tackled right now. All right, the first thing I do after I turn the power off is to disconnect the neutral, unscrew this right here, flip it over. I'll do the black wire. Green is for the ground. All right, now we have our new outlet about to go in. So since we're gonna drop our power straight down, I'm gonna utilize these top screws for the current wiring. We'll put the hot on the brass. That's the brass, that's the silver. We'll loop this around just like that. We'll take our screwdriver, tighten this down. Notice that when I go to tighten these J-hooks, the J-hook is in orientation with how I'm tightening. So if I put it like this would be the wrong orientation. We're gonna flip this over with our pliers. Just twist that, and now I'll put this just like that. What I like about this is that there's no copper hanging past the outlet itself on both sides here. We can do our ground screw right now. Actually, before we do our ground screw, we can't do that yet because we have to go pigtail into this ground to send our power to our other outlets. For the next part of this install, I'm gonna take my wire fisher right here. I'm gonna go and fish up through here, and I'm gonna pull the Romex through here, around, and to the outlet itself. All right, now it's time to connect this Romex, this outlet right here. I'm gonna make a pigtail, so what I normally do is just take 5 inches of Romex. I'll pull out the neutral. I will try and just push out the ground, which is right here. That's all I need. Okay, so I'll then take my razor blade. You also only need to come out, a good pinky to thumb right here, so we can cut this excess off. Okay, just like that. I'll take a razor blade, I'll come in here, I will just lightly score the Romex, just like this. Okay, great. This will now peel back. Take your razor blade, You just cut this off. Okay, great. Take all the paper off. Okay, so we have our ground, our neutrals. Take these 2 copper wires. We're gonna cut these onto size, just like that. Take a 3rd wire, maybe 5 inches long. And we're gonna take a little wing nut. We're gonna straighten this out. And we are going to take a wing nut on here and wrap all these wires together. I keep twisting until kind of all the copper just starts winding on itself. All right, great. At this point, take my electrical pliers like this. I'll make a little J-hook, just like that. I'll turn that over. I'll take my neutral. I'll shave off just that much, a little more. There are stripping guides in the back of these outlets in case you get confused. Make my little J-hook. I'll do the same with my black hot wire. This is 14 gauge, right there. I'll flip this over, just like that. Great. I'm now gonna hook up my neutral right here on the outlet. I'll tighten the screw down. Okay, I'll flip this over. Take my hot wire, which is the black, and now I will tighten this screw down. I'm making sure that this screw did not collapse any of the jacketing, which it hasn't, which is nice. I'll now take my ground screw, kind of just put these wires together kind of like this for right now. I'll take the ground screw and I will put that on here. Now we can tighten this down, okay? And I believe it is code in the US to wrap your outlet with electrical tape. That way you don't grab it by accident and shock yourself if you're doing any work. So I will wrap this up, go around twice, tear that off. Great, and then just push all your wires inside of the box, just like this. I'll use my impact to go send that home. All right, nothing too tight. Just helps out with access. Just tight enough where these this tongue right here compresses onto the drywall itself. All right, and that is one outlet installed right there, and we're kind of gonna repeat the procedure on the lower outlet itself. All right, we're currently by the kitchen door that goes into the house. What I wanna do is put an outlet right here. We're gonna have a tool chest come in, and the outlet on the tool chest is located on the right side of the tool chest. So if I have an outlet right here, kind of behind the tool chest, I can plug in to get power for the tool chest. So what we're gonna do is tap power from this junction box up here, run the power down, and so on time lapse, let's do that right now.
My only advice when you're tapping into a switched power outlet is making sure you're tapping into constant power, because you don't want your outlet that you're making right now, you see on the screen, to be only on when the switch is on. So make sure you tap into a constant hot black and a return neutral as well. And also try to avoid making a circuit which is in parallel. This is because parallel circuits will create the same current draw as the one next to it.
So you can see right here, this outlet is correctly run. I have an outlet tester I use for all my stuff. We've got switch power right here, which still works, but this outlet is gonna be constantly on for our toolbox to go right there. All right, to help hide the holes you made to run your wire, so you can see right here, we have a hole right here. What you're gonna do, create a drywall patch, and you're gonna put it in place, just like this. Mark where your studs are, right here and right here. And now you're gonna take a drywall screw. You're gonna screw 1, 2, 3, 4. And then after that, we're gonna mud this in and then sand it down, and it's ready for paint. So right now I'll show you what that looks like on speed up camera. This is the drywall screw gun. Kind of automatically stops the screw from breaking the paper. So you push in. If it goes a little too deep, you can back the screw out. So what I would do is turn it a little more, one click that way, maybe a couple clicks. Right here, push in, a couple more right here. Done. This is ready for spackle, a lot of spackle, and then paint. I feel like I'm in like an ISIS video with these lights. like the bag. Very construction light, dark, shitty floor background. All right, Habibis. Next thing we're gonna do, we're on the left side of the garage. We're tapping in this outlet right here. We'll drop an outlet there, and we're gonna place 3 outlets down the wall. It's gonna require us to first find out where all the studs are. Down here, we're gonna mark the studs, and then we're gonna cut strategic holes in the drywall so we can not only, one, drill through the stud, the holes to pass the Romex through, but yeah, we're going to find out where the studs are so that we can then make cutouts next to the studs to go drill through the studs and pass the Romex through, and then we're going to put our outlets in place. So lovely, let's get started on the time lapse.
Okay, we're marking the heights of the outlets first, and then I'm going to take some, this is where I want to put the holes to drop the Romex. Then this bottom chalk line there is kind of where the sill plate is of the house, so I don't want to go below that for my outlets. Now I'm just marking every stud on the wall, and then eventually we're going to go and cut a ton of holes out. I actually recommend you just make one large hole from the right side of the screen to the left. So I probably put like 20 holes in the wall. I would recommend just making one 10-foot by 4-inch rectangular hole. That way you have access to the entire what's behind the wall, and you can make one long strip and just patch it easily rather than making 11 or 20 patches of drywall.
A little recap of what we did. So we took this out right here, and then we're gonna go drop down to here, cut through this stud, and then we're gonna drop our wire down to here to our first outlet, come back up through here, this stud, this stud, this stud. You gotta watch out for, sometimes there's some wires in here, so when you're cutting with your Dremel tool, your oscillators don't go too deep. Again, we're gonna come through right here, drop down to this outlet, come back up through this stud, okay? And then we're gonna drop down. Unfortunately, as I was cutting out, one thing you wanna look out for, sometimes you're gonna have plumbing. This is a first floor garage. So you're gonna have, this is plumbing, it goes up to the second story bathroom. So once again, once your plunger goes through the draw of the oscillator, you'll feel it just give away. If you feel resistance, don't keep going. So what we did, I cut down to the base plate. We're gonna go into the basement. We're gonna under the ceiling joist, pop back up through this base plate here, cut through that stud, drop down to our last outlet. That way we have all of our stuff. One thing I also like to do is, I like to number my cutouts here. This is 11. That's gonna be the 11th hole versus we come over here. This is gonna be my number 1. That's my first hole I cut, which is gonna be right there. All these are the same size, nominal dimension. It helps to number them so that when we go to put these back in place to cover up all of our holes, everything fits really nice and there's less mudding to do.
If there's an existing wire in the way of where your Romex hole is going to go ahead and grab a pair of dikes and pull that cable staple up with the dikes, move the cable out of the way, and that way you can go and drill through the stud where your new Romex is going to go. And with every hole drilled, we're now going to go pull the Romex from the hose outlet all the way through each stud, down to each outlet below, and then all the way to the left of the garage, and just pulling it one by one. In order to go around that pipe, that drain pipe that goes to the second floor, which you can see on the screen right there, that PVC, we have to pull the Romex down through the basement. We're going to go through the ceiling joist and then around this plastic PVC pipe, and then back up the base plate of the garage and the house, and then we can go attach it to our last outlet, which is nearest to the garage door. You can see here, I'm just fishing with that Romex cable from the basin right now. We've cleared the drainage pipe. Now we're gonna route it through each stud, going to the left side of the garage. I'm gonna route this Romex right to the last outlet box, which is at my fish cable right there, right by my left knee. And what we're gonna do now is pull the Romex through, cut the length off. Now we're gonna go wire each outlet up, pull the Romex through the box. You're gonna have around pinky to thumb the length of the Romex, cut all the sheath off, remove the white, the paper, cut each cable back. We're gonna do a pigtail of the copper, cut off the hots and neutral, make the little J-hooks, put the J-hooks onto the correct sides of each outlet. Since we're doing a daisy chain here, so you're gonna have two blacks on the copper side and 2 whites on the silver side of the screws. We're gonna wrap the outlet with some electrical tape and keep moving on. Screw it in place. And as you can see here, this is my last outlet box. We only have 1 Romex coming out of the wall. Once again, pinky to thumb, remove the sheathing, get the paper off, cut your jackets back, make the J-hooks, put the hot on the brass screw, the neutral on the silver screw, copper on the ground screw, screw it in place, and we're all done.
All right, one thing I like to have in all garages is a retractable power cord reel. What I also like to do is have it near the front of the door of the garage. That way you can pull the cord outside to your car if you ever have to vacuum, etc. You're not running a cord all the way to the front of your garage or wherever. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna mark our studs. We're gonna put an outlet right here, and we're gonna go hang the bracket for this and go from there. So let's go put this thing on time lapse and throw up our cord reel. All right, I'm gonna go mark my stud location with my stud finder. It's my center. I already have 2 other marks, so all I'm gonna do is just kind of align my marks together. So right here is where I'm gonna put the cord reel. I kind of want it, you don't want it low because then you're pulling down low. I don't really mind it having up high. I think it's not a bad location. If you have a preference on how high to put this, let me know and we can discuss that in the comments. So let's go put our mounting bracket on, screw it to a stud, and then go hang up the reel. All right, I've got my hanger bracket right here. Now, both of these holes from Husky cannot go into a stud, so you're pretty much gonna choose 2 of the 4 holes to go into the stud. I'm gonna put the holes going interior to the garage. That way you don't see them from the outside. I'm gonna go level this out. All right. Now I'm gonna throw some pilot holes in here since these lag screws are pretty thick. At this time, we can go ahead and hang our reel, just like that. What I like is that this will sit flush with the wall. It's not gonna bang your head as you go and walk by. And now we need to go and find a location for this cord. Now I could put it down low right here. Let me show you on camera. All right, so I could put it down low right here, and if you do this, I will kill you because this cord looks horrible. So what we're gonna do is probably go and hide. I think I like this right here. Mark with my pencil.
Take your new work outlet box and trace it out, and take your oscillating tool and go ahead and cut it out to start pulling the Romex. All right, once you find out where you want your outlet to go, all we're gonna do is tap into power on the lower outlet. I'm using my fish hook to pull some new Romex through, as you can see right there. Once we have this done, we can go take a old work box and we can go and screw that into the drywall there, pull the Romex through. We're gonna cut the jacket off, put the outlet in, and Bob's your uncle. We're gonna go plug it in.
All right, with our outlet put in place, we can go ahead and put our cord reel on our bracket, and we can go ahead and plug it in. We'll go ahead and figure out some kind of cable management here so that this cable is kind of hidden behind this right here. You can swing left and right. Perfect, just like that. Amazing. I'll put a little zip tie up here, and we're good to go. And with a couple of zip ties, now we can go left, zip tie, zip tie, zip tie, and we can go right without a big dangling cord hanging down here. It's all about a professional appearance. Nice little touch. Point in our journey, everything, all the outlets have been installed and wired up. Now we need to go patch these holes. So what I did, as I mentioned before, is I numbered each square that I took out of the wall. So 3 goes back with 3. They'll fit in really nice right there. What you're gonna have to do is, depending on what size hole you cut, you're gonna cut a little piece of scrap wood. You're gonna tuck it behind the wall right here. You're gonna push it up just like this. Pull the piece of wood back, drywall screw. And now you have something to bond this piece of drywall to the wall. So you'll put that there, and then 2 screws. Now this is held in place securely. We can take our mud and mud over this. So right now I'm gonna show you on speed cam, me covering up all these holes right here, and we can continue on the project. So the wood we're using, scrap wood, it's like 100 years old, super dry, just keeps splintering and cracking. So would advise some fresh wood. Probably saw me drilling some pilot holes in this. Just such a bear, so get some fresh. Also not as thick. I thought I could reuse some scrap wood. The thicker it is, the more likely it is to kind of split on you. Off the Home Depot.
All I did was get some like cheap baseboard from Home Depot. I'm cutting it off in maybe 4-inch wide sections. I'm then putting it behind the drywall here. I'm using a little pry bar, a little lady's foot, just to pull it against the wall. Then I'm gonna go put the drywall screws in, 4 per wood panel and 2 per drywall patch. As you can see, we're just busting through this. Imagine if you had a 1 long strip, it probably would have been a lot easier, and you could also have drilled into the studs. So we're all done with this. Let's move on to the next step.
The next step is gonna be mudding. Now, mudding is not that messy, but it definitely takes finesse. It's one of those things where, you know, when you're born, you can buy a $10 spatula and a 45-minute instant mix of joint compound, and you can go to town. Now, this is one of those things where years of experience really matter. So don't be afraid to hire someone to mud your entire garage, which is what I did for this one right here. Okay, all of our holes are patched with the drywall and the wooden kind of plates behind them, some drywall screws in here. Our next order of business is to start patching all of the gaps, etc., with some drywall mud. This is a very messy process. A ton of videos on YouTube on how to do this really nice. I'll show you how I'm gonna do one. I'm gonna go time lapse the rest. Let's get started. Using some all-purpose joint compound to fill these cracks and holes that we've left from running our outlets. I'm gonna go ahead and open this tub, and I like to use like a 3-inch putty knife with whatever size, just to kind of get all my excess off. So what I'll do, I'll scoop this lid off first. And again, do not come at me for my technique. This is one of these jobs where you wanna hire someone to do this. Someone will do this for nearly 1/10 the cost, 10 times the speed, and 10 times the quality that you will ever do it if you've never done this ever before. This is probably one of the most painstaking processes of doing a remodel. Just all the mudding, the sanding, the dust. It's horrible, but if you want to do it yourself, I won't stop you. So I'll just kind of show you what I do. I get some excess right here, fill in that little hole, fill in that, come back here and get some more. We'll kind of just lightly go over that. And we want to kind of bend the blade here so that we feather it into the flat part of the wall. All right, and then we're going to sand all that once this dries. And we're going to keep moving down, so we'll get our nail holes. Truth be told, I am having a drywaller, joint compounder, mudder, and painter come tomorrow. I'm paying him $1,000 to do the entire garage. He's gonna drywall this side right over here, drywall the side with the doors. He's gonna sand everything down, mud everything down, sand everything down, then paint all 4 walls and the ceiling for $1,000. To me, that is money well worth spent. I did not want to paint, I did not want to drywall, I did not want to do this mudding myself. It's one of those things, again, where you'll do it once in your life and you're like, never again. So, nevertheless, I just wanted to show you what we're gonna do, so.
My only advice here is that the more mud you put on the wall, the more mud you're gonna have to sand off later. So it's a balance between having enough mud to cover, you know, the gaps, but too much mud, the more it dries, the more you're gonna have to make a mess later. So try to balance it out and do your best.
You really wanna be above, kind of make a mound above the surface so that when you go to sand it, it all goes flat.
I still advise everyone doing drywalling once in their life just to see how difficult and messy and a horrible process it is. And that way, when you go to pay someone to do it, you come home the next day from work and it's all done and it's all perfect. You're not covered in drywall dust. You don't have asthma the next day or for the next week. So I did this small patching right here and I left the rest of the garage to the professionals.
Next, we're gonna move on to sanding. So anywhere that you've pretty much patched all your holes, you're gonna go that you've patched it with all the joint compound, we need to sand that flat. So when we go to roll our paint on the wall or spray it, you don't see any imperfections in the wall itself. The first pass is gonna be pretty rough. You kind of want to, again, build that mound above where the holes are. Once this dries up, you can read, depending on your environment, humidity and interior temperature. Once it's dry to the touch, you can start sanding this down, and then you're gonna have to spackle it again, and then sand it down. You may have to do it a third time, and then sand it down, and then now just repeat for every drywall imperfection in your entire garage. There's 5 levels of drywall. Level 5 is like a glass smooth finish. It's a very expensive finish. You can do it, but it costs a ton of money. So for this job, we're just doing like kind of like a B+, like maybe like A- in terms of like finish on here. We don't mind the orange peel. At this point, I will videotape all the imperfections in the drywall and the ceiling where the tape's peeling off, etc. And then our drywallers are gonna come tomorrow, fix all that, mud, retape, drywall, etc., all for $1,000. And then the next day, I'll show you what we're gonna do next. Let's talk about lighting. There's a lot of good deals on Amazon right now, or Home Depot for recessed lights. I personally prefer recessed lights just because they're so cheap and relatively easy to put in. All you need to do is get maybe like 100 feet to 200 feet of Romex and one of those like snake cable run things and a friend and a couple of ladders, and you can, within an afternoon, put 12 or 24 lights in your garage. Now these things are like, I think I got a 12 pack for $60 on Amazon. Additionally, what I like about these is that they are color adjustable. So I can go from, I think it's 2,700K, 3,000K, 3,500K, 4,000K to 5,000K on each light. Now the K refers to the color temperature. And to me, temperature is everything. I'm sure you've seen houses in your neighborhood where everything is like fluorescent blue and white, and it's almost like a surgical room, and it's very harsh on the eyes. These are set to a 3,000K, which is a little warmer. It's easier on the eye. You can stay out here a lot longer. But if you're gonna be doing detail work, you may want to use a higher color temperature. Also, if I ever catch any of you putting those LED flaps in your ceiling, I'm gonna come after you and rip it out. If you already have a ceiling light in place, amazing. What we're gonna do is just tap into that for existing power, and we're gonna run all of our can lights all around the garage. Let's do that right now. At this point, we're gonna move to the lighting part of the garage, upgrading that. Before we had these little dinky CFLs, I'll show you on the screen right now what this looked like. It's the classic American garage. 2 little dinky lights in the ceiling. We're gonna put in 12 6-inch like recessed lights. What I love about this kit is that you can go from 2,700K up to 5,000K. That's gonna be the color temperature of the light itself, 2,700 being a warmer color, 5,000 being a more bright white. These will have 1,000 lumens each on each light, so we'll have a total of 12,000 lumens in this garage. This garage will be used for some work, not crazy heavy mechanic work, so 12 lights in the ceiling will be plenty. I'll show you how to put these in the ceiling right now.
Here I am just taking some chalk line and some measuring tape to evenly space 12 holes across the entire ceiling here. Take your time, plan it out on paper first. Once you get all your even spacing, then transfer all of those holes to the ceiling. Make sure you look for door gaps, etc. Make sure it looks even and flush so it doesn't look all wonky.
Okay, we've laid the chalk line down for our lights here where there's a blue cross. We're gonna put a light. We're gonna put 12 lights in the ceiling here. Pretty much bumped out 3 feet. I wanted to make sure I was 2 feet from this front wall so that when the light gets cast down over this tool chest, you have some working light here. So one right there, cast over this tool chest. So let's go hook up. This is a nice little tool right here. You can set the diameter of the pot light that you want to cut. It's got a little drywall dust catcher as well. So we're gonna set our diameter to the lights that we're gonna install right now, which again are these 6-inch kind of low profile lights. And I'll put on the time lapse and I'll show you all the holes. All right, so we just completed all the holes in the ceiling. I used this kind of pot fixture hole maker thing. It's adjustable. You can go from like very narrow to a large diameter. I'll leave this in the description below. As you can see, it kind of like catches the dust, but it doesn't catch it all. There's probably better products out there, but I will link to one in the description below. Definitely wear a respirator and some eyeglasses. I honestly wish I had eye goggles, like swimming goggles. It was just so dusty. Things were falling in my face, but we got it done. All right, as you can see, I'm absolutely covered in drywall dust right now. That's only 12 holes we put in the ceiling. Imagine putting 24. So at this point of the job, we're gonna have the workers come in tomorrow. They're gonna drywall everything, mud, sand, and paint everything. All these imperfections in the ceiling, which you'll see on the screen right now, I couldn't imagine fixing that myself. Obviously you could, but this is one of those jobs where when you drywall, mud, sand, and paint, you do it once in your life, realize you'll never want to do it ever again, and that you want to hire someone to do it. That's one of those things where they'll do it 10 times faster, 10 times better, and 1/10 the cost than you could ever do it yourself. So let's get those guys in here and we'll show you the results. Next is gonna be painting. As for painting, if it's bare drywall, you need to put primer down so the paint isn't sucked into the paper. If we were just to put this color paint onto bare drywall, we'd have to go through a lot of gallons rather than if we just put a primer down in the first place. On the screen right now is a product that's designed for being used as a primer on bare drywall itself, which is kind of like the raw paper. Choose a nice neutral color that agrees with most designs and most people. In this garage here, I use agreeable gray as well as a semi-gloss white paint for all the trim work. You just can't go wrong with that. And again, with the silver floor and the black up front, it's pretty much foolproof. Trust me, I've seen a lot of ghastly garages out there where the floor is absolutely vivid, a nightmare, and a total CF. So try not to go that route. By the end of the day, this is your garage to do whatever you want. Make sure you match the paint texture created by a roller brush sprayer setter, or else if you're really OC, you're gonna notice the difference in texture. So for example, this entire garage was rolled, and then there was a section on the ceiling where I actually ran new wire, and I had to, mud, sand, etc., and then I use a paintbrush, and now it's very smooth. It's almost like a glass surface finish versus a rolled textured finish. Again, paint the metal hangers that hold the garage door openers. It's a nice little touch and also helps, just make that hardware invisible a little bit to the eye. And also don't be afraid to paint those cables. Anything you don't want covered in paint, please cover it in plastic sheeting. And all right, here's the before and here's the after. Wow. All right, so what you're paying for here, let's shoot into the light. You are paying for this finish. It is smooth, guys. Don't put your outlets up before the drywall. What you should be doing is this right here. So you'll put your outlet boxes in, then you're gonna tuck your wires in. That way they can put the drywall up in there. Next thing we're gonna do is install the outlets. But these walls are incredibly smooth. A little sad about this. I wish this wire was run differently. So you may, before your drywallers come in, do your wire different. If I had a nick pick right here, they used drywall screws to hold this wire in place. I don't like that, so I'll swap that out myself. I will paint this bracket right here. I'll paint this to match the wall, but again, this wall is super smooth. Ceilings are done. Remember all that corner work up here? That's all smoothed out. So this garage is now ready for outlet covers, painted outlet covers. I'm gonna swap out this switch right here. We're gonna swap this out for a dimming switch. That way when we put our pot lights in the ceiling, they can be dimmed. And then we're gonna go install the ceiling lights. We're gonna remove that light, we're gonna remove that light, put a cap on it, and we're also gonna paint these metal uprights here. We're swapping this out. This thing busted. We'll put a new one in. So I'll just kind of like put that into place. And let's get started.
You can see right here, I'm just gonna go and wire up all these outlets. I'm stripping the Romex down, putting new outlets in, working one by one, nothing special. We'll fast forward through all this right now and we'll move on to the next step.
Okay, the next part of our installation is gonna be to tap into the existing light in your current garage after the power is shut off. And we're gonna go run our Romex from this light junction box over to our first hole, then daisy chain to the second hole, the third hole, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, 9, 10, 11, 12. and I'll show you how to do that right now. All right, go ahead and remove the bulb that's in your fixture, and then take out the 2 screws holding the cover plate on. All right, we're gonna pull down. If you have a red wire here, that's gonna be your hot, and the white is gonna be your neutral. So we're gonna tap into these wires right now, and then we're gonna go snake our Romex from this junction box over to our first hole.
So if this outlet right here had a black wire going to it, we would tap that into the hot, and the white would be the neutral. But because we have a red wire here, it's gonna be our 3-way switch. So we're gonna tap into that for the hot. We're gonna also use the white for the neutral and the bare copper for the ground.
All right, we got our red wire going to our light switch, and the neutral go to the light switch as well. I punched the hole in this box. I'm gonna run a snake over to this hole. I'm gonna pull the wire from this hole over to that first light right there. All right, we have our fish hook right now going from the first hole right there up through the drywall and down through our first light hole. Now I'm gonna go pull the Romex from one to the side and go hook it up. You can see here we've got
Okay, take your red wire that came from the box that originated there with the black wire that we just ran with the Romex, and then take your white wire that came from the Romex and attach it to the current white Romex that's in the box. Then take your copper wire that came from the box and attach it to the new copper that ran to the Romex to the new light. Now go ahead and take all your wires in and attach the faceplate on the junction box. All right, these are the recessed lights we're gonna put in. They're LED. They're also color adjustable from 2700 to 3000, 3500, 4000, and 5000 Kelvin, which gives you a nice little range. They're also dimmable. They come in 6 inches, and you can get a pack of 12 for only $60 on Amazon, linked below.
All right, I'm gonna show you how to prep these little relay boxes here. And you get a little packet of connectors. Go ahead and dump these out. I pull the wires out. Now these have 3/8 push outs, so you're gonna push out. If you can't push it out, get a flathead, give it a little twist, give it a little wiggle. Other side. Now you can't just feed the Romex through here. You have to use these cable clamps. These are 3/8, so what I do is I spin off the nut on both of these, okay? I take my impact, I back the screws out all the way. On both of them, I will now insert into the box with the screws facing down. Take your nut right there. Go ahead and lightly thread it on. Do the other side. I'm doing this. Now to tighten this nut down, you take a flathead screwdriver and just push on the little ridges until it's tight. Do it for both sides. This is one box, and I'll go ahead and do this for the rest. Once again, I bulk prep all my relay boxes with all the cable clamps on them and the wires pulled out, ready to be installed into the ceiling.
Go ahead and pull the Romex from the next light over to the original light, pull it through, and disconnect the snake, and ready to wire it up.
A little recommendation here, go ahead and pull your host wire, so your first Romex through. Don't tighten this cable down, this clamp right here. Then run your second wire to your other hole, and then run it through, and then connect these to the Wago connectors first, because these are the hardest cables to deal with. And then take your slim, finer gauge wire, and then plug it up in there, pull the slack through both holes, then tighten these clamps, and then put this ballast box up in there, and then go connect the light right there. It'll be a lot easier for you to work around. All right, here's one completed box. I'm not gonna lie to you, it is pretty tight in here. And then we'll close this up. And then we're gonna select our color temperature right here. It can go from 5,000 to 2,700. I'm gonna keep on 2,700 for all my lights. Now all we have to do is just put this box in here, put the cord in, then we're gonna go snap the light in right now. Okay, we have successfully run all 12 lights. You can see the ballasts are hanging from the ceiling. At this point, what I like to do is turn the lights on and make sure the color is what I like it to be. And if it is, I'll keep it and I'll put everything up in the ceiling. And if it's not, I'll cycle through all the different color schemes to the one that I like. So let's do that right now. All right, these are my work lights. This is gonna be 2700K. It's a nice warm glow. This is 3000K. I'll rebalance the light on here. All right, this is 3000K. And this is 3500. All right, this is 4000K. Rebalance the light. It's pretty white. It's pretty garagey, I would say. A little too industrial for me. You can go even bluer than this if you want. Honestly, anything past this is gonna look like a fluorescent bulb. I'll show you. Okay, and this is 5000K. It's pretty much very white blue. Yep, and this is back down to 2700K.
Go ahead and paint your wall plates and switches your wall color. I'm using Sherwin-Williams Agreeable Gray throughout this entire garage remodel for the walls and ceiling and plates. So you can see me, I mudded it in place, sanding everything down right now with my hand sander, getting it flush with the ceiling. Just working it back and forth. This is like probably a 220 grit on a flat board. Going up and down. Cool, cool, cool. At this point, I'm gonna take a finer sandpaper right here and just kind of level all the high spots down, go back and forth over all my previous kind of rough spots. I'm using a sanding block, and then we're gonna get ready to paint it. So I was taking my roller, going back and forth, nothing special. And with all the painting done, you can barely even see where the marks were and where the old wire was, and it's all smooth and flat now. One thing the painters did I didn't like was they put drywall screws in to hold this wire up, so I removed them, and now we're gonna get staple with them right in place. All right, since that old garage door was so banged up, we're gonna put a new one in right now. And here's the final result. Went in without a hitch, and I absolutely love it, and it's super quiet. One thing I do recommend doing is taking all these garage door hangers and painting them the wall or ceiling color as well. It'll look blended and look really nice.
What I like doing is actually painting the metal uprights paint and match to the walls and ceilings so that it kind of blends in a little bit easier. Now, yeah, it's still there, but if you ever like quickly glance around the garage, it is a nice touch. I even go ahead and paint the power core so it kind of blends in, as well as the center wires that go all the way down here. Yeah, we could have hit these in the drywall, but they were already mounted in place, so this is what we worked with. We go ahead and paint these wires here, as well as all the center wires that drop down to the center right here as well.
Another thing I'm gonna do is upgrade this keypad right here to a new one, so let's put that in right now. And here's the result. You can use your fingerprint to get them into the house, as well as a keypad or your iPhone.
All right, guys, next thing I want to talk about is actually storage. A lot of people think you need like snap-on cabinets, which are like tens of thousands of dollars, or these custom cabinets out there. If you go on Home Depot's website or your local big box store's website, you're gonna find a lot of nice deals on metal cabinets. Again, I have a freestanding cabinet here. It's 3 feet wide. I think it's 6 or 7 feet tall. $300, that's cheap. If I get 10 of those cabinets, that's 30 feet of wall cabinets for $3,000. Metal, sturdy, magnet close. You can beat them up all you want. It's uniform, it's glossy, it's beautiful, okay? You don't have to break the bank to store all your stuff in your garage. Additionally, we have a workbench here, which was also $300. It has a nice wood top on it, which also matches the wood bench in front of me right now. I try to have nothing showing in my garages when you walk in. It just creates a nice, clean, inviting space. Me personally, I don't like when counters are full of stuff, so that when I go start a project, I already have mess everywhere. So storage is very critical to creating a nice, clean showroom garage. Also, label all your drawers with a label maker. Please invest in one of those for like 20 bucks. Your wife or husband will love you for that. I label everything in my house. I'm an OCD freak. So definitely go with that. It definitely is a nice touch. Also, if you're ever under your car and you ask your friend, hey, can you get me some channel locks out of my pliers drawer? They can just instantly go in the drawer, get them, grab it, and go. What's also nice with these cabinets from Home Depot, et cetera, the kind of the freestanding ones, is that if you ever move, you can take the cabinets with you. A lot of people have wall cabinets that are mounted to the walls and they're screwed in place. I don't think you're taking that with you if you ever move. I do have a friend out there who just hid his garage. I think he spent $30,000 on the renovation, and he got a little higher grade than an epoxy floor, some custom cabinets put in, kind of overkill, some lighting, and that's it. I mean, that's $30,000. Again, we came in with this entire project for less than $5,000, which included hiring someone for drywall, mudding, sanding, and painting help.
All right, let's go assemble some cabinets for the garage, and you do not need to break the bank. Here's it in the box. Let's see it assembled. Now these are Husky cabinets from Home Depot, and they are only $300 each, one for the tall and one for the small workbench. I'll link it below in the description. And for the other side of the garage, we're gonna design and build this workbench right now. Let me show you how. I got this tabletop for $200. Right now it's a little too deep off the wall, so we're gonna go shorten it down with a circular saw. You see right now the table is too deep at 24 inches, so let's go shorten it up. And the reason why I'm shortening it down is I wanted to match the countertop depth of the other side of the garage. Just taking my circular saw here up against another reference plane, I'm shaving off a few inches so that it's 18 inches deep to match the countertop of the other side of the garage. At this point, we're gonna flip the table over and go ahead and put these 40-inch legs on, which I got off Amazon, which are also linked below. And each leg is gonna require 6 screws to hold them in place. I'm definitely gonna advise you use these 1-inch wood screws rather than the little like 1/4-inch screws that come with the kit. I also wanted to make sure I had enough room for this trash can, which is gonna be on the right side of the table next to the garage door. So I kind of mocked this up to allow space for this trash can. Here I have a reference line about 9 inches off the left side of the table, so I can make sure I know where to put these legs to allow space for that trash can. And now we're gonna go mark the spot where the drill is gonna go for a pilot hole for our wood screws. Go ahead and set your drill depth to not go past the tabletop. Ask me how I know. And then go ahead and drill all the holes for your pilot holes on the screws. With all your pilot holes done, now you can take the tabletop leg and go drill in all the wood screws to hold it in place. Do not over torque. Repeat, do not over torque. Just to be cautious, I like to take pretty much a hand drive for the rest of the wood screws and finish it off by hand. That way you don't strip the screws out of the wood. All right, let's go repeat for all other corners of the table. Let's flip it over. And here's the final result. Let's go at that trash can and see how it looks right now as well. And no workbench is complete without a bench vise as well. I got this one on Harbor Freight for around 90 bucks, not too bad. Let's keep moving on with the project. And the next thing I wanted to do was add a chair to this bench top. I got this one off Amazon's link below, and it has a high reach height. Let's go assemble it right now. Here's all the parts to the chair, and here's the assembled chair.
And let me show you the reason why I got this chair for this high bench. 32 inches of travel. You sit up here, really nice height. You can go down. This is also adjustable right here for your legs. All right, we got the feet adjusters right here. It's a great height if you ever want to work on anything. Look at this, perfect, really nice, awesome, stores away. Cleans up very easily as well. Push onto the bench, good to go. So as much as I love this table here and its 18-inch depth, it is a bit wobbly. So if you have like a kid and they lean on it, especially with this vise right here, it will lean over. So what we're gonna do is do an attachment to the wall with a French cleat. I'll show you on the screen right now how we're gonna cut this. Let's go install it right now. First thing we're gonna need is a 2x4. I'm gonna measure in 6-inch sections here. I'll take my speed square. Let's go cut this. All right, now we're at the table saw, so I'm gonna set my bevel of the blade to 25 degrees. And according to my drawing, I gotta be 1.15 inches away from the side of the wood. I'm gonna round up to just 1.1 1/8, which is right there. I'll lock this in place. Now I'm gonna take these two pieces right here and line it up and cut them in half. Okay, now we have 2 French cleats. I went with a 25-degree design because if this is the back of the wall right here, I didn't want a big lift to put this table on and off. It's a very small lift, so it's probably around a 1/2 inch lift for the user to put that table up onto this French cleat right here. It's gonna be on the wall. So this will be under the table right here. Now if this piece is gonna be attached to the bottom of the table here, I wanna make sure that I use a screw that's long enough to go through this block, but not too long to go through the table. So I'm using a 3-inch deck screw. Now I'm gonna make a through hole for this screw. I'm not gonna go find a couple of studs on the wall. So I've measured 18.75 inches over from the side of the table. I'm now gonna go line up my cleat in the center of that mark. So my stud is right here, which I can verify right now. So I'm gonna go drill a couple of holes up into this table, and I'm gonna go screw it into place.
Okay, so I started to put in the gate locks on this thing with the square blocks. It worked a lot better. The table is now locked to the wall. You can just undo both sides like this, and as you'll see in a second, the table slides out and you can lock it back in place.
Next up is flooring. Try and choose a neutral layout and no crazy bright colors. I prefer the self-draining, zero maintenance floor that will last for years and still function like it did on day one, which is why I'm gonna go with Swiss tracks for this garage install. So let's get started on the floors right now.
All right, we are prepping for the floors. So before I put the floors in, I'm gonna go paint all the baseboards that I'm gonna put on top of the floors. I'd rather get paint on the concrete rather than brand new floors we're gonna put in the garage. So I advise you to paint your baseboards now before you get them messy or paint everywhere later. And on the screen is the paint I'm using. For the baseboard, I use finger jointed pine 1x6.
Our first step is to blow all the debris out of the floor. Now we're going to start at if you're facing the garage, the lower right, front right portion of the garage. We want to make sure the smooth side is here, smooth side is here. That's going to be our first tile. We'll put it right up to this edge of the cement. We'll take, all the tongue, it's going to face to the right and towards the front of the garage. All we're going to do is just put it right down, snap that in place, take another one, put it down, snap it in place. Now I'm going to go time lapse across the floor.
The floor literally just clicks into place from the left to the right of the garage, and it could not be easier.
All right, so now that we're near the wall, we're gonna put our tile in. And you're gonna notice that we're gonna have a gap here. So at this point, what I'm gonna do, at the very end of this install, we are going to cut this tile right here so that it fits right along here, but we're gonna do that last at the very end. We're gonna start the second row. Again, tongue out, tongue to the right here, and then tongue forward. Snap it into our first tile right there, our first row. Take another one. I just use my feet. I'll do 3, and we'll time lapse the rest. All right, now we're on our third row. I'll do the first 3, and once again, we'll time lapse the rest. Okay, we've got the first 3 rows of tile laid out. At this point, what we're gonna do is slide the floor back from the front edge and add our front lip. I'll show you that right now. So this is the transition bevel that we're gonna add to the front of the floor that transitions from the garage lip to the floor itself. All we're gonna do is lift up on the front of the floor, slide our little bevel in right here, and knock it down. I'll do the first 3, and the rest will be on time lapse. And once again, at the very end, we're going to just do the last piece, and then we'll cut the end at the very last step of the installation for this last part right here. And now with our front transition lip in place, we're gonna slide the floor back forward to line it up with the edge of the garage here. Okay, on both sides. At this point, once the front lip is lined up, we're gonna slide the floor against this wall. We're gonna leave around a 1/4 inch gap for expansion and contraction due to environmental conditions. Now you can see the 1/4 to 1/2 inch gap that we've put in on this reference side, the smooth side of the Swiss tracks. This is kind of like our reference wall. This gap right here will allow for expansion and contraction of the floor itself during high humidity, low humidity, and high and low temperatures of the environment that you're in. What we're trying to prevent is having the floor buckle up during the seasons.
I like to lay out the perimeter of the tiles so that I have a nice 1/2 inch gap along the entire wall. And then what I'll do is I'll fill the rest of the floor.
All right, so for my garage here, I decided to make the last 2 squares to be black. It kind of like covers, makes kind of like my tool chest area. So now I'm gonna go transition to this color right here. I'm gonna do this last row and I'll show you what to do with the excess gaps. Okay, so starting with the back corner here, I'm gonna measure from the smooth part of the rib tracks here up to the wall. It's marking 10 inches for me at this point, and right here, let's see, that's also 10 inches. So what I'm gonna do is take off a 1/4 inch, so I have some gap in the wall here. So I will rip this sheet of rib tracks to 9.75 inches. Now, you also wanna make sure that you measure from the smooth part here. So 9.75 right there. This is where I'm gonna cut on my table saw right now with a 90 TPI blade. All right, I'm at the table saw right now. I'm gonna go adjust my fence to 9.75, which is right there. Perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and lock that in place. Let me show you the blade I'm using right now. This is a 90 tooth blade. I think it's just, I forgot the metric. It's not teeth, maybe it's like 90, could be around the hole circumference, not really sure, but you wanna choose a 90 tooth blade. That way you get a really fine cut on these Swiss Tracks tiles. Now, obviously I'm gonna go lower the blade down to only what we need. That looks good right there. And now, so this is where we are currently. This is gonna be the smooth side of the wall. And this blade's kind of like the back wall here. So once we run this through at 9.75 inches, this will fit perfectly in place. Let's go cut that right now. You do get a little like burnt edges on here, but this all will be covered by the baseboard coming up. So I'll just kind of chip these off a little bit, just like this. Just in case these are gonna be exposed edges, you can just kind of just brush these off. Exactly. All right, let's go fit them in place. All right, we're back at the corner here. Let's go test out our piece that we just cut. Perfect. As we accounted for, we've got around maybe a 1/2 inch to a 1/4 inch gap in the back. And our next piece, we've got from the drywall to the front smooth part of the Swiss Tracks is 10 inches on the right, and we've got 10 inches on the left. I'll take off a 1/4 inch and cut it also to 9.75 inches. All right, let's see how we did.
Okay, so I totally forgot to record this part, but you want to pretty much measure from any obstacle to the tile, and then you're going to make like cuts around the obstacle on your table saw, and be careful with your measurements.
I'm gonna call that. Great. I'm gonna repeat the process. We're gonna be 13.5 all the way down, so I'll cut this next one to 13.25. All right, let's go put it in place. Perfect. Nice little 1/4 inch gap around the step right here for expansion. All right, for the last part of the steps here, once again on that 13.5 to the smooth edge of the Swiss Tracks. 13.5, I'm gonna take off a 1/4 inch, 13.25. So I'll measure up here, 13.25, make a line, 13.25, I'll cut the line across. All right, so that lets me know. That takes care of this. What about this distance right here? So I'll take my tape measure. I've got 3.5 and 3.5. I'll take off a 1/4 inch, 3.25, 3.25 right here, 3.25 right there. Okay, these lines connect. I'm gonna call this 3.25 inches. Getting rid of this right here. Okay, let's go on the saw and cut it off. All right, let's see how we did with the cut. We're gonna have to lift up this. Put this down first. Perfect, looks really nice.
And with the steps now, we can go bulk cut the other side of the garage. And the reason why I can bulk cut the left side of the garage is because distance from the drywall to the existing tile is all the same measurement. All I have to do now is just snap it in place. This is my last tile that I have to cut for the area. So all I'm gonna do is just take my measurements, transfer it to the tile, transfer it to the saw, cut it, and then put it back into place.
Let's see how she fits. So, there, perfect.
And we're just gonna repeat for the other side of the steps.
Now I do have a gap, again, running down the side of the garage right here, okay? It's around a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch gap. I do wanna repeat that for this side of the garage, so I'm gonna cut all my silver tiles down to width right now, along this entire length right here, up to the black.
To save time, I try to see how many tiles have the same measurement, and I bulk cut those all at once. So you can see here I'm doing all the ball cutting of the silver tiles that are gonna go on the left side of the garage. I'm gonna check my first piece, make sure it works, come back to the saw, and I'm gonna go ball cut the rest. And then we're gonna lay them all down.
All right, we're gonna go put this down. Great, I'm gonna continue up entire row.
And don't forget about your little front transition piece.
And last but not least, all right, and that will complete our Swiss Tracks install. Everything turned out great. Got our gap down the line there. Let's run over here, gap down the line here. Everything is squared off nice. We're gonna put baseboard here next. Got gaps all around the floor, around our steps. It's looking good. Run the back here, amazing. This is a job well done. Couldn't be happier with the result. Let's move on to the baseboards next to go cap it off and finish off the trim. So we definitely can't leave this concrete exposed here. So I got some 1x6s for trim. We're gonna trim around the entire garage, except for probably over here because of this concrete block. I already painted it white with some dry lock. I'll probably add some quarter round to close that gap. Let's get it right now. Up against the fence. If you have any proud drywall spots, knock it down with a hammer. Go ahead and vacuum it up, and now your baseboard should lay flat in that area. Now I am working alone, so I'll use a tool chest to prop the baseboard up against the wall. I'm gonna use a 15 gauge nailer with 2.5-inch nails to nail this to the base plate of the frame of the house. So we'll go ahead and do that right now.
Just using my heavy tool chest as a brace and a third hand to nail the rest.
All right, I'm now taking, it's not quite quarter round, but it's like, say 0.75 by a 1/2 inch. And I'm gonna go use 23 gauge pin nails to put this in place every like 6 inches. Okay, we're wrapping up the final touches on the baseboard. We put the quarter round in the bottom there. Okay, I went ahead and spackled all of the nail holes. Also this transition that I really didn't do so well, I sanded this down, filled it in with wood filler. I'm gonna sand it one more time and then we're gonna go paint over it. So we're gonna go sand over all these wood filler fills, and then we're gonna put our last coat of paint on there, and that's gonna be it for the base trim. Then we're gonna paint this the same color as this concrete along here, which is on the screen right now. All we're gonna do for each filled hole right here is take a sanding block, it's for drywall, and just run it up and down here. So it's smooth, very good. Do that all the way around. Little white paint, my 4-inch roller, pop it on. All right, let's go paint some trim. So what I love about the Swiss Tracks floor is that no matter what the condition of your existing garage floor is, you can just lay the Swiss Tracks right on top of it. There's no need to even like degrease it, etch it, etc. If there's current epoxy peeling up, that's all right. Just blow it off with a leaf blower, sweep it with a broom, put the Swiss Tracks right down. Additionally, I couldn't imagine doing all this work to your garage with the drywall, patching, and painting and leaving your floor an absolute mess just like this. Look at the condition of this floor. This is pretty much every floor that's in America at this point, okay? It would be a real shame just to call it a day right here. Once you put this floor down, it really transforms the space, and you'll be so glad you did it. In this garage here, I pretty much did a 90% pearl silver Swiss Tracks rib tracks floor, and the last 2 feet in black to kind of go under the tool chest and like the work area. Now I want to talk about the pros and cons of this floor in my 5 years of experience, because to me, there's no other floor I would put in other than the Swiss Tracks in this home, my next home, and anything going forward, and to all my friends and family. And even you guys. So this floor will self-install in 1 day, and there's pretty much 0 floor prep other than using a leaf blower and a circular saw with a 90 tooth per inch blade. There's multiple colors. It keeps the floor dry when you come in from a snowy environment or heavy rain. It keeps the floor clean, it's dust free, because all the dust just falls straight through the cracks. And I'll show you right now what my 5-year floor looks like. And it pretty much, I've never vacuumed this floor once, other than maybe spilling a bag of literal dirt on the ground or like sand, and it really just shows no dirt at all. So I've even seen videos out there of people lifting their floor up to vacuum it. It's absolutely not necessary, again, unless you spill a 5-gallon bucket of sand and the sand is literally coming out of the grates and is visible. At that point you could vacuum it, but for you and me, like in very normal use, you're never gonna have to vacuum this floor, never in your entire life, for a very long time. It's very easy to replace a tile in case it gets damaged. Things where it would get damaged, let's say like you have your car on 4 jack stands, and the jack stand itself doesn't have a flat base and it has kind of like a sharp edge to it. Well, if you're working on a heavy car in the middle of summer, it's gonna be a hot tile, you know, with a very heavy and pointed load, so it will actually indent into the floor. And I'll kind of show you what it looks like right now on the screen. It's not too bad, and I've done it myself a couple times. It's not even enough to even warrant replacing the floor, so if that's the worst thing, not too bad. Additionally, what I love about this floor is that it does not dull or fade in appearance. This floor is brand new and it looks very glossy and shiny. Again, I'll show you what my floor looks like right now after 5 years of pretty much heavy pro mechanic use every weekend. I've dropped engines on this floor, transmissions, coolant, oil, brake flushes, like you name it, on multiple cars over 5 years, and it still looks great. I think one of the best features about this floor is that if your car comes in from a heavy rainstorm or snowstorm, all the water comes off the car into the grates, and then because your slab it should be sloped out to the garage doors, all that water just flows right out. And you're never gonna come into your garage ever again with like socks on and step into a pool of water, etc., and kind of like ruin your mood. Nobody likes wet cold socks. This garage itself can support the weight of heavy SUVs. It's not going to be an issue. I can't imagine, you know, I'm sure there's some load calculation on this floor, but it's pretty much hard injection molded plastic. There's nothing to like fatigue, brittle, snap, or break. I have no concerns with that. What I like about this floor is that you can also use it with quick jacks. I'll show you on the screen right now kind of what that looks like. So you can see here me jacking at my Porsche 911 with the quick jacks. Now, I do recommend that you use quick jacks with this floor rather than a floor jack. You can use a floor jack, but you're gonna need some kind of like metal plate under the jack itself so that when the jack raises up, you know, the wheels can roll back and forth. Now floor jacks are designed to roll forward and back as the arm lifts up. So with this floor here, it is a little tricky because there are indentations, but I just buy like maybe a 1/32 inch steel plate that I put under my floor jacks if I ever need to do some kind of like point load lift on any of my vehicles. But the quick jacks solve that, no problem at all. So I think the only negatives that I can think of this floor would be dropping very small fasteners into the floor. Think of like your eyeglass fasteners if you drop them. Now, out of all my mechanic, you know, weekend warrior experience and even weekday warrior experience, I've never dropped a fastener once in this floor and lost it. I'm pretty careful, but just something to keep in mind. You know, if you do drop something small, maybe like a studded diamond earring, you know, yeah, it'll go through the crack, but you can always pull the floor up and like look for it. It's not like it's gone forever. Additionally, it is a little annoying that you can't just take your floor jack, you know, and roll it around the floor here and jack your car up. You could, but you run the risk of such a stress concentration on the floor itself that it will dig into the floor and it won't allow that jack to slide back and forth, which is why I use a quick jack, but there are ways around that. Now, if you do go to jack your car up and you wanna like, you know, hold it in place for a long time and use jack stands, make sure that the jack stands you are using are flat bottom jack stands and not the ones with like, kind of like an angle iron edge to it. This floor is very easy to install. I've done these now 3 times myself. It takes one person. You'll need a table saw. Any sort of saw that can help kind of cut through plastics, maybe a jigsaw with a polycarbonate blade or a plastic blade on there, as well as a table saw with a very fine TPI blade. You just have to measure around all your obstacles, maybe like steps, stairs, plumbing, etc. Make the cuts and all snaps in place and it's good to go. Another thing that I love about this floor versus epoxy or some of those like hard coatings that you can slide tool chests, floor jacks, etc. over this floor worry-free for as long as you want. and never have to worry about any damage at all. Now, if I just spend $10,000 on an epoxy floor, and remember, to properly do an epoxy floor, you need the big Zamboni machine with the huge grinders to kind of level down and chip away that concrete, maybe in like a 16th of an inch to get all the oil off, etc. And then you get a professional company to do all these layers, etc. If someone quoted you $1,000 for an epoxy floor, it's not gonna last. To properly do like a 2-car garage like this, it's gonna be between $8,000 and $10,000 to an epoxy floor. This floor came in today in spring 2025 for just over $2,000 in materials. I put it in myself in one afternoon after work, and it's gonna be here for a very long time. It also looks like this for a very long time. I absolutely love the Swiss Trax floor. Once again, any water that comes in, goes in the grate, it goes out. There's no stress at all. It's a very low maintenance floor. And guys, I'm seriously not kidding about how zero maintenance this floor is. So many times I go to fill up my soap containers for washing cars and my buckets, etc., for my laundry room. Imagine doing this on an epoxy floor and spending the next hour cleaning it up. Okay, all the water goes in, into the floor. Look at this. There's no mess. I'm already dry. What's gonna happen now? Let's open the door behind you. And you can see the water just goes right out the front of the garage. People always ask me, what about the dirt and the dust? It falls right in. Imagine the dirt and the dust that goes behind your fridge in some sense. Like, do you see it? No. Yes, is there gonna be small specks of dirt under this floor? Yes, but you don't see it. It's out of sight, it's out of mind. If you had an epoxy floor, any little blitna, speck, dust, particle, etc., if you get really down low and you look at your nice, beautiful, glossy floor, you're gonna see all that dust and dirt all over your floor. You're gonna be leaf blowing every single day. Hopefully you got a leaf blower. If not, you're gonna be sweeping it. With this thing, again, it's pretty much low, zero maintenance. If you spill anything on this floor at all, you can wipe it down, you can use a mop. If you ever get any mud on the floor, you take a hose, you spray it off just like this. I love this floor so much. It looks beautiful. I would also recommend going for the more simpler design. So again, we have pearl silver for the 90% of the floor here, and the back of the floor, around 2 feet section, is just the regular like glossy black to kind of go under the tool chest, etc. It kind of separates the areas. And I'll show you with these little AccuPark stoppers here, how much room you have to work in front of your car. So as I mentioned, you can see right here how much room we have in front of the car. You can open our cabinets. No one's feeling cramped. You know, there's no reason why you should have your car so far forward. And I really hate those tennis balls that hang down. Some people use like aviation wire with a little thing, and what you don't think about is that when that cord's hanging down for your windshield, you know, once your car's gone and you walk in your garage to do whatever, you got a cord hanging from your ceiling. I absolutely hate that. I really do love these AccuPark yellow bumps. They really help out. You can stick them in place. When you're done, you can move it around, whatever you need to do. Or if you want to permanently epoxy it to the Swiss Trax, go for it. And let me show you why we put all these outlets down so low. So low. So let's say I want to go charge my car at home. All I'm going to do is open up my front trunk here. I got my battery maintainer guy. I'm going to go ahead and plug them in. So right here, I'll plug it in. I take a yellow microfiber, I lay it over the fender, it hooks up to my battery right here. All I gotta do now is just close the hood, and look, I have no black cords hanging from midway on the garage wall. I can't tell you how many garages I see finished and the outlets are still up here. Check your local codes and listings for how low you can make these outlets, but I absolutely hate it when people put their outlets high and you have a black cord running down. It breaks up the look. I'm OCD AF and I hate that, so I want everything to look perfect. And if you are interested in this product that I'm using, all I have here are on the screen right now, I've got 2 pretty much spade connectors to go to my battery up front, and then you've got a quick disconnect, like I mentioned, right here to keep your cars maintained, charged, and plugged in all the time. No one likes coming out to a dead battery when it's a sunny summer and 75 day, so please keep your cars charged. Also, we use a yellow microfiber right here, so when you walk out of your garage and you start your car, it is yellow warning, there is a cord attached to your car. I can't tell you how many times I've driven off with this cord plugged in because look, black, I'm not gonna ramp it out, but pretty much black on black, it pretty much hides right in. So do yourself a favor, use the yellow microfiber. It lets you know you have a cord plugged into your car, and then you can go remove it and go about your day. All right guys, that's gonna conclude our video for today. That's how you transform your garage from zero trash hill to what you see here for under $5,000. You should be smart with your money. Again, for this garage here, I did pay a subcontractor $1,000 parts and labor to do drywall on this wall, mud, sand, and paint everything. With drywall, you do it once, and you'll never want to do it ever again. Everything else was done by myself, including the lighting, the electrical, little ancillaries here and there.
All right, here is the cost breakdown from top to bottom. Feel free to pause your screen right now and check it out. This is what I spent on everything for the garage, line by line. Got some stuff on sale, but we made a pretty good deal, and we actually came under budget by around 150 bucks.
If you have any questions at all, put it down in the comment below. I'd love to hear from you and answer any of those questions at all. If you also have any recommendations for what to do next time, love to hear it. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions at all about the garage you saw renovated here, I try to be pretty specific with the install steps. If I left anything out, feel free to leave me a comment. I do read all comments and try to get back to you. Also would love to hear any suggestions that you might have for the next garage. This garage here was a pretty simple one. We wanted to look very visually stunning, very clean, simple. You can't go wrong with clean and simple. All right, never forget that. Additionally, all products used in this video will be linked in the description below. If you want to use the Swiss tracks, I have a discount code called Das Cayman. So you can go to the link below here and enter that in for a discount off of your next garage floor. If you have any video suggestions on what to do next, I'd love to hear from you. You know, this channel is really made for you guys. I love helping other people. So thanks for watching, consider subscribing, and we'll see you next time.
Hey guys, thanks for watching today. If you want a nice black 100% cotton t-shirt in either black or white, you can head over to my clothing store, link below. It's through a company called Fourth Wall. To be honest, I'm only selling things I don't want to wear myself, which include just plain black and white t-shirts, which you can see right here. If you want to be a really OG gangsta supporter, you can get some Das Cayman swagoo. Alternatively, if you want to support the channel with my Patreon, we love that as well. Entry tier gets your name advertised and a press support shout out in each video. And other tiers even go up to private one-on-one phone calls giving advice related to either cars, life, or advancing your career. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.